The anime begins with a scene of Gojo Satoru, a teacher from Tokyo Jujutsu High, speaking to the restrained protagonist, Itadori Yuji. Satoru informs Yuji that he will soon be executed for becoming the vessel of Ryomen Sukuna, the King of Curses. To explain how this happened, the story shifts to events from a few days earlier. The narrative introduces Itadori Yuji, a 15-year-old superhumanly strong student at Sakurasawa High. Orphaned and raised by his hospitalized grandfather, Yuji's true passion lies in the occult. He joins his school's occult club, where he and his two clubmates, Higuchi and Sasaki, dabble in amateurish spiritual activities. Meanwhile, Yuji's extraordinary physical abilities attract the attention of the school's PE coach, who pressures him to join the athletics team and compete in regional championships. However, Yuji prioritizes the occult club. Undeterred, the coach forges Yuji's application to enroll him in the athletics team. This leaves the occult club short of members, prompting the student council president to shut it down and repurpose their club room as a girls' locker room. The occult club tried to justify their activities by claiming to investigate a mysterious incident on the rugby field, where they believed a vengeful spirit had caused the entire team to fall ill. However, the student council president dismissed their theory, stating the team had simply contracted tics. Undeterred, Itadori insisted on staying in the occult club. In response, the PE coach challenged him to a fair competition. If the coach won, Yuji would compete in the championship. If Yuji won, he could remain in the club. The contest involved throwing a steel ball. The coach managed 14 meters, but Yuji hurled it an astonishing 20 meters, securing his victory and his place in the occult club. Next, the story introduces Megumi Fushiguro, a student from Tokyo Jujutsu High, who arrives to retrieve a cursed artifact. Unbeknownst to him, Itadori had already taken the artifact and given it to his clubmates. As Yuji rushed to visit his hospitalized grandfather, moving at a speed Fushiguro likened to Usain Bolt, the sorcerer sensed intense cursed energy radiating from him and realized Yuji possessed the artifact. But Fushiguro couldn't catch up. At the hospital, Yuji brought flowers for his grandfather, who grumbled that they were useless, neither drinkable nor smokable. After this, Yuji's grandfather tried to tell him the truth about his parents, but Yuji stopped him. Instead, his grandfather urged him not to repeat his own mistakes and to live a life helping others so he could die surrounded by loved ones. As Yuji had grown up without parents, his grandfather's final words deeply resonated with him, becoming his lifelong creed. Shortly after, his grandfather passed away. While handling the cremation paperwork, Yuji was approached by Fushiguro, who revealed that the item Yuji had taken from an unlocked wooden box was a special-grade cursed artifact. Fushiguro explained that sorcerers use sealed cursed relics to repel curses, malignant beings born from human negativity like fear, anger, shame, memes, and cringe. The relic itself was pure evil, its overwhelming power deterring weaker curses. However, removing the seal would invert its effect, attracting curses instead. Realizing the danger, Yuji admitted the relic was with his friends at school. The artifact turned out to be one of the 20 fingers of Ryomen Sukuna, the four-armed king of curses. Due to its weakened seal, Sasaki and Higuchi easily removed it, unleashing curses across the area. Understanding his friends were in grave peril, Yuji and Fushiguro rushed to the school. They arrived too late. Fushiguro charged inside alone, ordering Yuji to stay outside for his safety. However, when Fushiguro located the group being devoured by a powerful curse, Itadori crashed through the window. Recalling his grandfather's words, he struck the curse midair, rescuing his friends. Fushiguro then sliced the curse apart and fed its remains to his shadow-summoned Shikigami hounds. Yuji remarked that he'd never seen ghosts before, shocking Fushiguro, as only those with cursed energy or facing imminent death can perceive curses. This meant Yuji fell into the latter category. As Yuji carried Sasaki, the cursed finger slipped from his pocket. Fushiguro identified it as the special-grade artifact, one of the 20 fingers of Ryomen Sukuna, the king of curses. Hearing that curses could be exorcised using cursed energy, Yuji joked about eating the millennia-old finger to gain such power. Fushiguro warned that while it might work, Yuji would become a possessed vessel. He demanded the finger back immediately. But as Yuji reached to hand it over, another curse ambushed them from the ceiling, slamming Fushiguro into a wall and dispelling his Shikigami. Injured and powerless without his cursed energy, Fushiguro urged Yuji to stay back. He stood no chance against the curse alone. However, when the curse cornered Fushiguro outside, Itadori intervened, refusing to abandon someone in need. He fought the curse, but the finger slipped from his grasp. Desperate, Yuji clenched it between his teeth. As the curse forced the finger into Yuji's mouth, he swallowed it to gain cursed energy. Instantly, twisted markings spread across his body, and two new eyes opened. Sukuna had seized control. The King of Curses obliterated the curse with a single strike, boasting about his sadistic nature. Fushiguro froze, knowing sorcery laws now demanded Yuji's execution. But then, Yuji wrestled back partial control, shocking Sukuna. By sheer will, he fully reclaimed his body, vanishing the cursed markings. Suddenly, Gojo Satoru, Fushiguro's mentor and the era's strongest sorcerer, arrived. He'd come to retrieve the relic, now fused with Yuji. Amused by Yuji's defiance against Sukuna, Gojo tested him. He ordered Yuji to let Sukuna take control for 10 seconds, then reclaim his body. Yuji complied. Sukuna erupted with fury, attacking Gojo, who effortlessly countered the onslaught. The King of Curses obliterated half the school but failed to land a single blow on Gojo. After 10 seconds, Yuji regained control of his body. Gojo then knocked him unconscious, declaring that if Yuji awoke without surrendering to Sukuna, he could be recognized as the official vessel of the King of Curses. He turned to Fushiguro, asking what should be done next. Fushiguro admitted that, while protocol demanded execution, he refused to let Yuji die. Gojo agreed to protect him. When Yuji awoke, the story circled back to the anime's opening scene. Gojo explained that Ryomen Sukuna, the four-armed, two-faced King of Curses, had been dismembered into 20 indestructible fingers after his death. Yuji, now housing one of these fingers, was Sukuna's vessel. If Yuji died, the finger and Sukuna's power would perish with him. The cowardly higher-ups had ordered Yuji's immediate execution, but Gojo proposed an alternative. Yuji could either die now or consume all 20 fingers and then be executed. The latter option would allow him to eradicate Sukuna permanently, saving countless lives. Gojo emphasized that Yuji was the first viable vessel in a millennium, a rarity worth defending. While Itadori weighed his decision, Gojo took him to visit Iguchi and Sasaki in the hospital, then to the crematorium where his grandfather's ashes were kept. As Yuji collected the remains, he asked Gojo if destroying Sukuna would reduce human suffering. Gojo confirmed it would. With resolve, Yuji agreed to consume all of Sukuna's fingers, vowing to adapt as events unfolded. He swallowed the second finger, suppressing Sukuna's influence once again. Next, they met a bandaged Fushiguro and headed to Tokyo Jujutsu High. Upon arrival, Gojo boasted about his status as history's strongest sorcerer, claiming even a full-power Sukuna posed no threat. Sukuna mocked him, but Gojo brushed it off. Yuji then faced an admissions interview with director Yaga, a master of puppet techniques. Yaga's puppet overpowered Yuji, testing his resolve. Yuji explained his desire to fight curses and save lives, honoring his grandfather's dying wish. Yaga warned that sorcerers without genuine motivation often meet tragic ends, sometimes dragging others down with them. He rejected Yuji's application, citing his reliance on external validation. Undeterred, Yuji pinned the puppet and countered. Though uncertain of his fate, he knew he alone could devour Sukuna's fingers. He refused to live with regrets, determined to save thousands. After hearing this, director Yaga reversed his decision and enrolled Itadori into the first-year class. Gojo then showed Yuji his dorm room, explaining that each of Sukuna's fingers emitted a distinct cursed aura. As Sukuna's vessel, Yuji's very presence would inadvertently aid in locating the remaining fingers. Later, they reunited with Fushiguro, who had been healed using reverse curse technique, and learned they'd meet their third first-year classmate tomorrow, the sharp-tongued but spirited Nobara Kugisaki. The next day, Gojo assigned Yuji and Nobara a trial mission in Roppongi to gauge their abilities. Their task was to exorcise a curse haunting a building near a cemetery. Gojo forbade Yuji from tapping into Sukuna's power, instead lending him a cursed knife. Inside, the pair split up. Yuji defeated a curse on the lower floors, while Nobara encountered a mannequin-like curse holding a boy hostage. Flashbacks revealed Nobara's childhood friendship with Sayori, who had moved to Tokyo years prior. Suddenly, Yuji burst in, severing the curse's arm with the cursed blade to free the boy. Nobara finished it off using her voodoo resonance technique. The mission also hinted that Nobara had joined Tokyo Jujutsu High partly to reconnect with Saori after a decade apart. After safely returning the boy home, Gojo praised the duo, and they celebrated with a meal. Soon after, a special grade cursed womb manifested at a juvenile detention center. With no high-ranking sorcerers available, the first years, Yuji, Nobara, and Fushiguro were dispatched. The narrative then outlined curse threat levels using Yuji as a humorous benchmark. Grade 4, half of Yuji's strength or an ordinary baseball bat. Grade 3, 2 Yujis or 1 pistol. Grade 2, 5 to 7 Yujis or a shotgun. Grade 1, 50 Yujis or a tank. For special grade curses, it would take roughly 100 Yujis or a tenth of Satoru Gojo's power. By protocol, curses of this caliber require sorcerers of equal or higher rank, like Gojo himself. But with Gojo away on a mission, Ijichi stepped in to brief the team. He ordered them to avoid combat, as their role was reconnaissance. To contain the threat, Ijichi sealed the juvenile detention center with a barrier. Inside, the group discovered an incomplete domain expansion ritual warping the building's structure. What seemed like a two-story facility from the outside now twisted into a sprawling labyrinth. They found 3 of the 5 hostages' remains, including Tadashi, whose mother had been waiting outside. Yuji insisted on returning the bodies, but Megumi stressed there was no time. As they argued, Nobara was dragged into a portal. Simultaneously, Megumi's white Shikigami hound, summoned to track the curse, was crushed into a wall. A curse that had consumed one of Sukuna's fingers then appeared, its power overwhelming. During the fight, Yuji lost his arm and the cursed blade. Desperate, he internally begged Sukuna for help. The King of Curses mockingly agreed, but only if he could start the fun by killing Megumi and Nobara first. Yuji urged Megumi to rescue Nobara and evacuate, promising to let Sukuna take over once they were safe. Megumi raced off, but Sukuna reneged, declaring he'd rather let this 10%, Yuji and the others, die, as his soul lived on in the remaining 18 fingers. Megumi freed Nobara from a millennium-old curse, and using his Black Hound, they escaped the labyrinth and signaled Yuji. Nobara was hospitalized, while Megumi stayed behind. He ordered a 10-kilometer evacuation zone, anticipating Sukuna's imminent rampage. Meanwhile, the curse overwhelmed Itadori, severing fingers from his remaining hand. Hearing Megumi's signal, Yuji forcibly swapped with Sukuna, without negotiation. But the battle had eroded his resolve. Consumed by despair, he even blamed his grandfather for pushing him into this deadly path. Yuji's spirit crumbled, echoing Director Yaga's warning about unprepared sorcerers. Seizing control, Sukuna plotted revenge. He lured the curse to finish off the fleeing students, but it attacked him instead. With reverse curse technique, Sukuna regenerated Yuji's limbs, then toyed with the curse, ripping off its arms and carving it apart. To assert dominance, he unleashed his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, amplifying his power. The curse was diced into equal pieces, its consumed Sukuna finger retrieved and roasted into a kebab. Sukuna tried to taunt Yuji into switching back, but Yuji remained silent. The King of Curses emerged outside, confronting Fushiguro. He coldly explained Yuji's reckless swap had trapped them both, temporarily. To ensure compliance, Sukuna ripped out Yuji's heart, holding it hostage. Without it, Yuji dies if he regains control. Devouring the third finger, Sukuna unleashed his full fury on Fushiguro. Megumi clung to hope, trusting Yuji's will to resurface. But Sukuna pummeled him relentlessly, slamming him into walls and floors with surgical precision. Sukuna also destroyed the Orochi Shikigami and nearly crushed the Nue Shikigami. As Megumi teetered on the brink of defeat, flashbacks revealed his past. His sister had been afflicted by an unknown curse, and despite his self-proclaimed illogical stance, he'd always championed justice. He confessed to Yuji, through the haze of their shared struggle, that saving him from execution wasn't heroism, just his stubborn belief in fairness. Yet he'd never regret that choice. Suddenly, Yuji wrested control back from Sukuna. But with his heart missing, Yuji collapsed, his body shutting down. Meanwhile, Sukuna's cryptic remarks hinted at hidden designs involving Megumi, though their nature remained unclear. The scene shifted to a meeting between the cursed spirit Jogo, the plant-like Hanami, the oceanic Dagon, and the rogue sorcerer Geto Suguru. This alliance plotted humanity's eradication. Jogo argued that curses, born from raw human emotion, were the true humans, free of hypocrisy. But Geto tempered his zeal, stating curses lacked the strength to prevail. Yet, two conditions had to be met first. The first condition, eliminate the strongest sorcerer, Gojo Satoru, using the prison realm on October 31st. The second, recruit Sukuna and Itadori Yuji to their side. To prove his worth, Jogo torched everyone in a nearby restaurant. Geto remarked that Jogo's power rivaled 9 of Sukuna's fingers. Though Jogo took the prison realm, he boasted he could defeat Gojo without it. The scene cut to the morgue where Yuji's body lay. Gojo and Ijichi arrived, with Ijichi explaining the incident. Gojo immediately recognized the Elder's scheme to execute Yuji during his absence. Furious, he muttered about eliminating the Elders. But Shukoyeri intervened, noting how rare it was to see Gojo emotionally invested. She began an autopsy to determine if Yuji could be revived. Meanwhile, Fushiguro and Nobara grappled with Yuji's death. They were joined by second-year students, Zen and Maki, a master of cursed tools, Panda, a sentient cursed corpse, and Inumaki, a cursed speech user. Fushiguro briefed Nobara on their strengths, emphasizing Maki's unmatched skill with cursed weapons. The second years included Inumaki, who limited his speech to rice ball ingredients for safety, Panda, a powerhouse despite his name, and Yuta Okotsu, the only sorcerer Fushiguro openly respected. They proposed a 2-day training exchange with Kyoto Jujutsu High. With Tokyo short on senior sorcerers, the second years aimed to bolster the first year's skills, especially to honor Yuji's memory. Meanwhile, within Sukuna's inner domain, Yuji confronted the King of Curses, furious over his death. Sukuna offered a binding vow. If Yuji uttered extension, he'd regain control of his body for 1 minute. In exchange, Sukuna would restore Yuji's heart, and vow not to harm anyone during that minute. Breaking this pact would curse Sukuna himself. Yuji refused, calling Sukuna a desperate fossil clinging to survival. But Sukuna hinted this deal tied to Fushiguro's hidden potential. Yuji, wary of trusting a millennia-old curse, stood firm, even as Sukuna taunted his naivety. It turned out Sukuna had tried to seize Yuji's body during their first encounter. But back then, Gojo's binding vow ensured mutual benefit, a common practice in Jujutsu society. Now, Yuji demanded Sukuna revive him unconditionally, arguing the King of Curses caused his death. Sukuna countered with a duel. If he won, Yuji would accept the pact. Yuji agreed, only for Sukuna to crush him instantly. Meanwhile, Gojo confided in Ijichi about his vision, dismantling the corrupt Jujutsu hierarchy by raising a new generation. He believed true change required allies like his students, Yuji, the prodigy Hikari, and the third-year Yuta Okotsu. Mid-conversation, Shoko prepared to autopsy Yuji's body, only for his heart to restart, shocking everyone. Gojo ordered Shuko and Ijichi to keep Yuji's survival secret. He planned to train Yuji in cursed energy control, turning him into a wildcard against the elders. Yuji's training involved a brutal regimen. He had to watch a movie while channeling cursed energy into a puppet crafted by Yaga. If his focus wavered, the puppet attacked. Gojo questioned Yuji about his interactions with Sukuna during death, but Yuji claimed no memory of their conversation. As Yuji trained, Gojo was ambushed by Jogo en route to the college. None of Jogo's attacks landed. Gojo's limitless technique neutralized them effortlessly. This innate ability, combined with his 6 eyes, allowing him to perceive curses through blindfolds and even sense Sukuna within Yuji, made him the first sorcerer in a millennium to wield both powers. Casually obliterating the special grade curse, Gojo noted Jogo's recklessness. Remembering Geto's warning about solo confrontations, Jogo activated his domain expansion, Coffin of the Iron Mountain. Seizing the moment, Gojo teleported Yuji to the battlefield, using Jogo's domain as a live lesson. He explained domain mechanics as Jogo's fiery assaults raged harmlessly around them. Yuji, awestruck, realized even Sukuna's power paled against Gojo's mastery. Gojo then activated his domain expansion, Unlimited Void, flooding Jogo's mind with infinite information. With a smirk, Gojo ripped off Jogo's head, playfully challenging him to a survival quiz. Watching from afar, Geto and the eco-warrior curse Hanami intervened. To conceal Geto's identity, Hanami unleashed a floral distraction, allowing them to retrieve Jogo's head and retreat. The scene shifted to Geto entering a hidden apartment portal leading to a paradise island where Mahito awaited. Geto admitted Jogo's defeat proved they couldn't overpower Gojo. Yet, their only hope remained sealing him with the prison realm on October 31st. Meanwhile, Fushiguro and Nobara faced harassment from Todo Aoi and Mai Zenin, Maki's spiteful twin sister. Accompanied by Kyoto Jujutsu High's principal, Todo sought details about Tokyo's replacement for the prodigy Okatsu. Mai, however, relished mocking Yuji's death, repeatedly sneering the word vessel. Todo then posed his infamous question to Fushiguro, "What's your type of woman?" Without waiting, Todo declared his preference for tall women with a big ass, like Jennifer Lawrence. He warned that a boring answer would turn Fushiguro into minced meat. Calmly, Fushiguro replied that appearances meant nothing. He valued unwavering principles. Todo, disgusted by this lack of taste, slammed Fushiguro's face into the walls. Meanwhile, Mai taunted Nobara, pelting her with rubber bullets. The ambush ended when Inumaki, Panda, and Maki arrived. Maki, wielding cursed tools and special glasses to see curses, saved Nobara. Though born without cursed energy, Maki aimed to overthrow the Zenin clan's prejudice by becoming its leader. The scene shifted to a principals meeting, where Gojo replaced Yaga, detained via Ijichi's intervention. Gojo accused the elders of orchestrating both the Geto incident and Yuji's execution to suppress the new generation. Flashbacks revealed Geto was once Gojo and Shuko's classmate and Yaga's former student. Mahito lurked in Kawasaki, toying with humanity. At a local theater, he slaughtered 3 bullies tormenting Junpei Yoshino, a boy whose classmates had extinguished cigarettes on his forehead. Instead of fear, Junpei felt fascination. He chased Mahito, demanding power to retaliate. Recognizing Junpei's trauma-induced apathy, Mahito revealed his cursed experiments, warping human bodies like clay. He manipulated the boy, promising vengeance against his tormentors. Junpei, desperate to protect his single mother, clung to this twisted camaraderie, unaware Mahito saw him as a pawn. Meanwhile, Itadori and his temporary mentor, Nanami, Gojo's trusted ally, investigated the theater incident. Nanami, a pragmatic sorcerer, sensed Mahito's handiwork and the danger Junpei now faced. During the investigation, Nanami taught Itadori to track residual cursed energy. On the rooftop, they eliminated several curses that, upon closer inspection, were humans who died of shock after forced bodily transformations, Mahito's handiwork. Following deliberately planted traces, Nanami pinpointed the curse's origin to the theater. Recognizing a trap, Nanami sent Itadori and Ijichi to interrogate Junpei, identified via security footage as a witness. To gain Junpei's trust, they devised a plan involving a Grade 4 curse, though a series of mishaps, including losing their teacher's pants, left Itadori awkwardly bonding with Junpei instead. Meanwhile, Nanami confronted Mahito in his lair. He shielded himself from Mahito's soul manipulation using cursed energy reinforcement. When his overtime began, Nanami unleashed a partial domain expansion, crushing Mahito under debris. Though wounded, he retreated, knowing Mahito could regenerate by absorbing ambient cursed energy. The story cut back to Itadori and Junpei, now friends after bonding over dinner with Junpei's mother. During the meal, Itadori emphasized the value of human life, a stark contrast to Junpei's growing nihilism. After Itadori left, a curse attacked Junpei's mother, triggered by a Sukuna finger planted in their apartment. Mahito later explained that such cursed relics attract curses, and wealthy clients pay to target those who've wronged them, implying Junpei or his mother had crossed someone powerful. Consumed by rage, Junpei accepted a cursed spirit from Mahito and accelerated training to wield it. He stormed his school during an award ceremony for not Todoroki Shoto. Using his spirit, Junpei immobilized everyone except his homeroom teacher, who had ignored years of bullying. Revealing his cigarette-scarred forehead, Junpei poisoned the bully with his spirit, forcing him to confront his cruelty while leaving him conscious. Meanwhile, Mahito enveloped the school in a curtain barrier, trapping all inside. Nanami informed Itadori of Junpei's mother's death, but hid the Sukuna finger's role. Defying Nanami and Ijichi's warnings about Mahito's patch-faced spirit, Itadori raced to the school, finding Junpei interrogating the bully. Nanami abandoned his mission to follow, intent on stopping the chaos. Meanwhile, Yuji and Junpei clashed violently. Yuji hurled Junpei outside with a punch, only for the boy to retaliate by flinging Yuji back inside. During a brief truce, they shared a heartfelt conversation, with Yuji even inviting Junpei to Tokyo Jujutsu High. To prove his sincerity, Yuji refused to fight back, taking 2 brutal strikes from Junpei's cursed spirit. Mahito emerged, taunting Junpei for his naivety. As Yuji screamed for Junpei to flee, the boy finally grasped Mahito's true malice. The curse warped Junpei's body into a grotesque puppet, forcing him to attack Yuji. Desperate, Yuji begged Sukuna to use reverse curse technique to heal Junpei, only for Sukuna and Mahito to laugh in unison. Sukuna mocked Yuji's naivety, noting he'd forgotten their prior pact. Mahito's goal became clear. He aimed to push Yuji into binding with Sukuna, hoping to sway the King of Curses to their side. Enraged, Yuji unleashed a flurry of blows, momentarily staggering Mahito. But the curse countered, slashing Yuji's arms and torso. After using idle transfiguration, Mahito's soul briefly entered Sukuna's domain. The King of Curses demanded to know how Mahito dared intrude, but spared him, for now, amused by their shared mockery of Yuji. Back in reality, Yuji headbutted Mahito relentlessly. The curse morphed its form to counterattack, but Nanami intercepted, shielding Yuji. The sorcerer noticed red residue on Mahito and questioned its origin. Yuji explained it was from his punches. Nanami deduced Mahito either couldn't kill Yuji due to Sukuna's influence or chose not to. He devised a plan, restrain Mahito so Yuji could land decisive blows. Sensing this, Mahito summoned transfigured humans to distract Yuji, forcing him to exorcise them. As Yuji and Nanami pressed their assault, Mahito trapped Nanami in his domain expansion, self-embodiment of perfection. Nanami's weakness, his inability to fully master a domain, left him vulnerable. Flashbacks revealed his past. Disillusioned by corporate ingratitude, he'd returned to Jujutsu, finding purpose in saving others. Resigned to die, he was stunned when Yuji breached the domain, dragging Sukuna's soul into contact with Mahito's. Sukuna, enraged by the intrusion, shredded Mahito's soul, collapsing the domain and saving Nanami. Mahito, desperate, assumed a monstrous form, only for Yuji's divergent fist to shatter it, forcing the curse to retreat into the sewers. In the end, Mahito managed to escape, now harboring newfound respect for Sukuna's overwhelming aura. Later, Itadori and Nanami, now healed, discussed the aftermath. Nanami chose not to reprimand Yuji, acknowledging the student had saved his life, but Yuji insisted the credit belonged to Sukuna, who had shredded Mahito's soul. He somberly admitted this was his first time killing a human. Nanami reminded Yuji he was now a true sorcerer. The scene shifted to the school. The bully Shota, poisoned by Junpei's curse, lost use of his arm, while the complicit teacher escaped unscathed. Reflecting on the battle, Yuji resolved not to lose again until he understood his grandfather's ideal of a proper death. Meanwhile, Geto, Mahito, and a regenerated Jogo regrouped. Jogo noted Mahito's battered state, prompting the curse to abandon solo ambitions and refocus on Geto's plan, stealing Sukuna's 6 fingers stored at Tokyo Jujutsu High. Their goal? Test how many fingers Yuji can absorb before breaking, a step towards swaying Sukuna to their cause. The villains speculated that Jujutsu authorities wouldn't surrender Sukuna's fingers to Yuji until all were collected, except Gojo, who'd feed Yuji every finger immediately. Geto had accounted for this, leveraging the finger planted at Junpei's apartment to manipulate events. Later, Gojo and Nanami discussed this hidden finger, with Nanami confirming Yuji remained unaware of its existence. Meanwhile, Yuji, eager to reunite with friends, was convinced by Gojo to make a dramatic entrance. At the Tokyo-Kyoto Goodwill event, Kyoto's team arrived. Mai Zenin, Todo Aoi, Nishimiya Momo, nicknamed Witch Girl, Mechamaru, a puppet user, Noritoshi Kamo, the Kamo Bullet, Kasumi Miwa, and their teacher, Utahime Yori. Gojo crashed in with a luggage cart, claiming he'd brought souvenirs. With a flourish, he revealed Yuji inside, shocking both schools. Kyoto's principal paled, realizing Sukuna's vessel still lived. The event's rules were announced. Teams would compete to exercise a Grade 2 curse while eliminating weaker curses for bonus points. If no team defeated the main curse, the highest scorers would win. Next, the Kyoto students gathered, where their elderly principal, referred to as Old Fart in Yuji's inner monologue, ordered them to eliminate Sukuna's vessel, framing it as an accident. Todo, however, snapped at being commanded, rallying the others to gang up on Yuji. Meanwhile, Tokyo's team adjusted their strategy. Anticipating Todo's solo assault, they assigned Yuji to stall him. The rest split into 2 squads. Separately, Gojo confronted Utahime, suspecting traitors within their ranks after recent special grade curse incidents. He tasked her with investigating Kyoto. The event began with Todo ambushing Yuji instantly. Yuji tanked the blows, growing fiercer. When Todo demanded his type of woman, Yuji mirrored Todo's earlier answer: tall women with big asses like Jennifer Lawrence. Todo, stunned, declared Yuji his brother, hallucinating a shared childhood with him and idol Takada-chan. Chaos erupted as Kyoto's team joined the fray. Mai fired rubber bullets. Miwa swung her sword, yelling she'd make him beer snacks. Mechamaru attacked directly, but Yuji dodged. Kamo took aim, but Todo swapped places with Yuji using his technique, snarling he'd crush anyone interfering. In the end, the Kyoto students left Itadori to Todo, but Todo declared the outcome rested solely on Yuji's strength, vowing to fight his best friend with full force. Meanwhile, Tokyo's team ambushed the Kyoto group, realizing their united focus on eliminating Yuji. However, the Tokyo students refused to abandon their comrade, with Maki's squad arguing, "What's the point of winning if we lose a teammate?" Panda's team echoed this resolve. The battles erupted. Nobara clashed with Witch Girl, Nishimiya Momo. Panda fought Mechamaru, revealing himself as a cursed corpse, a puppet masterpiece crafted by Principal Yaga, housing 3 cores: Panda, Gorilla, and Shy Sister modes. Maki faced Miwa and her twin sister Mai, disarming Miwa's sword and countering Mai's rubber bullets. Megumi dueled Noritoshi Kamo, whose blood manipulation technique met Megumi's divine dogs. Panda overwhelmed Mechamaru, a sorcerer born without limbs below the knees but wielding long-range cursed energy, by cycling through his forms. Victorious, Panda left to hunt minor curses. Elsewhere, teachers monitored the event via cursed crow drones. Gojo immediately suspected foul play around Yuji when his feed glitched, showing only fragmented footage. Meanwhile, Todo and Itadori continued their fierce clash. Yuji unleashed his divergent fist, striking with a delayed burst of cursed energy after each physical blow. Todo, however, deemed the technique flawed and roared his criticism across the battlefield. His shouts reached Maki and Miwa, whom Maki swiftly disarmed, claiming Miwa's katana for herself. Elsewhere, Nobara battled Witch Girl, Nishimiya Momo, embedding nails into her broom to disable it with voodoo resonance. Just as Nobara poised to finish Momo with a toy hammer, Mai shot her with a rubber bullet, knocking her out. The scene shifted to Mai confronting Maki, fueled by childhood resentment. Mai blamed Maki for abandoning the Zenin clan despite lacking cursed energy, forcing Mai to endure their family's scorn. Maki, now a Grade 4 sorcerer due to clan sabotage, though her strength neared Grade 1, overpowered Mai, apologizing for leaving her behind but refusing to live in self-hatred. By the event's midpoint, Mai, Nobara, and Mechamaru were eliminated. The scene returned to Yuji and Todo, where Todo berated his best friend for limiting himself, insisting fists should never lag behind vision. Inspired, Yuji began channeling cursed energy across his entire body, escalating their duel. Meanwhile, Noritoshi Kamo Bullet, clashed with Megumi. Kamo manipulated blood projectiles, while Megumi's divine dogs harried him. Unbeknownst to Kamo, Inumaki infiltrated Mechamaru's systems, using his cursed speech to remotely disable opponents. Kyoto's principal, Old Fart, revealed his treachery. The Grade 2 curse was actually a semi-Grade 1 trained to hunt whistle-marked targets. He'd rigged the event to eliminate Yuji. But before his plan unfolded, Hanami obliterated the curse effortlessly, confronting Inumaki. Simultaneously, Mahito and Juzo, a curse user allied with Geto, deployed a curtain barrier to block Gojo's intervention. Chaos erupted as the villains infiltrated the event. In the teacher's monitoring room, all curse markers flashed red, indicating curses had been destroyed by an unknown energy. While the color typically signaled Tokyo's team, it also reacted to Maki's unique aura. Gojo, Yutahime, and Kyoto's principal, Old Fart, rushed to the site. Unable to bypass the curtain barrier, Gojo stayed outside, strategizing, while Utahime and the principal entered. Inside, the principal confronted Juzo, while Utahime pressed forward. Meanwhile, Megumi summoned his divine dog, Totality, elephant-like form, to hurl Kamo outside, where they spotted Inumaki fleeing Hanami's roots. Megumi relayed Gojo's intel. Hanami, a special grade curse, sought to eradicate humanity to restore nature's purity. Hanami blocked their attempt to contact Gojo, forcing the group to improvise. They deployed Inumaki's cursed speech to stall the roots while attacking Hanami, aiming to breach the curtain's edge. However, Inumaki couldn't sustain his efforts for long. With his final burst of cursed speech, he repelled Hanami, though the curse's armored hide remained unscathed. Maki arrived, shattering Miwa's borrowed katana against Hanami before summoning her own cursed weapon. Alongside Megumi, she launched a fierce assault, their weapons clashing against Hanami's Grade 1 resilience. Having lost his other Shikigami in prior battles, Megumi fused their residual energy with his Black Hound, transforming it into a chimera that tore through Hanami's reinforced arm. Meanwhile, Nishimiya Momo, Witch Girl, rescued the injured Kamo and Inumaki, while Megumi, ensnared by energy-draining vines, and Maki, battered but unyielding, fought on. Panda arrived, evacuating the wounded as Yuji and Todo joined the fray. Yuji, suspecting Hanami's link to Patchface, Mahito, tested his newly learned Black Flash, a technique requiring cursed energy concentrated into a strike within a millionth of a second. Most sorcerers manage it once or twice a day. Yuji's Black Flash severed Hanami's arm, but the curse regenerated instantly. Todo, who'd vowed to assist if Yuji succeeded, demanded trust as he entered the battle. Suddenly, Hanami grabbed Todo and hurled him into thorny spikes, but Todo activated Boogie Woogie, swapping places with the curse, trapping Hanami in its own trap. To disorient the curse, Todo clapped loudly, synchronizing with Yuji to unleash a relentless assault. Shockingly, Yuji landed Black Flash 4 times in a row, astounding even Todo. Hanami survived, retaliating with energy-draining spores. Todo, leveraging his 30,000 IQ, deduced the spores fed on cursed energy. By halting his own cursed energy usage, he nullified their effect. The duo pressed their attack, driving Hanami toward the special grade weapon Megumi had mentioned before retreating. But even Todo wielding the weapon couldn't finish Hanami. The curse revealed a blackened arm with a glowing flower, siphoning energy from nearby plants. As Hanami prepared a domain expansion-level floral blast, Gojo shattered the curtain barrier, arriving at the battlefield. Assessing the chaos, Gojo prioritized aiding Kyoto's principal. He crippled Juzo, tearing off limbs for interrogation. Nearby, Yutahime fended off Haruta, a curse user who fled upon seeing the barrier fall. Nobara and Mai, now recovered, joined the fray, but Haruta escaped swiftly. Gojo targeted Hanami and unleashed his hollow purple from a distance. The sheer force of the attack left the group unsure whether the curse had survived. Meanwhile, Mahito infiltrated Tengen's vault, a labyrinth with 1,000 doors. Using the residual cursed energy from the finger planted at Junpei's apartment, sealed twice and hidden by Geto, Mahito located the correct door. He stole 6 of Sukuna's fingers, and the death painting wombs number 1 to 3 of the Kamo clan. Hanami, who had survived, revealed the curses had tunneled underground to bypass defenses. The curse's plan succeeded. They trapped Gojo outside their barrier, diverting his focus long enough for Mahito to operate undetected. They avoided capturing Yuji, deeming him a time bomb, too volatile for both sorcerers and curses to handle, a problem to address after October 31st. Back at Tokyo Jujutsu High, the aftermath was assessed. 6 Sukuna fingers and 3 cursed artifacts were stolen. Casualties included 3 Grade 2 sorcerers, 1 semi-Grade 1, 5 assistant supervisors, and 2 guards. The higher-ups chose to withhold the theft from students to prevent panic. From interrogating Juzo, the sorcerers learned he'd struck a deal with Uraume, a white-haired monk allied with the curses. Yaga proposed canceling the exchange program, but Gojo let the students vote. A random draw selected a baseball game, revealing character quirks. Megumi sacrificed his glasses to catch a ball, while Yuji smashed a home run. Later, Itadori, Megumi, Nobara, and Nita Akari investigated mysterious deaths linked to electronic locks. The victims shared a connection. All attended the same middle school, Megumi's alma mater. They discovered a fourth victim, a former classmate, and visited Yasahachi Bridge, Suicide Bridge, where a staff member named Takeda revealed the victims had been found unconscious there years prior. The team also learned Megumi had an older sister, a detail he'd kept hidden. Meanwhile, Mahito used stolen cursed artifacts to create 3 death painting womb siblings, cursed hybrids of human and curse. Meanwhile, the group revisited Yasahachi Bridge but found nothing unusual. Yuji even improvised a rope swing to jump off the bridge. A local then introduced them to Fujinuma, a former classmate of Megumi's sister Tsumiki. Fujinuma revealed Tsumiki had participated in a mysterious test under the bridge years ago. Distraught, Megumi stepped aside to call Ijichi, pleading for a high-ranking sorcerer to protect Tsumiki, still comatose from an unidentified curse. With no available reinforcements, Megumi faced a choice: stay with the group or rush to his sister. He tactfully sent Yuji, Nobara, and Akari away, claiming he needed to question Takeda. Instead, he headed under the bridge alone to confront the curse linked to Tsumiki. Nobara and Yuji, suspicious, followed and learned the truth. Akari later deduced the curse's lair likely lay beyond a small stream beneath the bridge, a threshold to the afterlife's border. Akari learned this from Fujinuma. After crossing the stream, the group encountered an incomplete domain expansion, similar to the one at the detention center. Inside, they faced 2 curses: Sukuna's finger, dubbed Mole, the domain's creator, and Keichizu, a humanoid curse. As usual, Nobara was dragged into a portal, this time by Eso, Keichizu's brother, and a cursed vessel self-conscious about his disfigured back. Eso kills anyone who sees it. Yuji chased Keichizu into the portal, leaving Megumi to battle Mole. Despite slicing the curse into pieces, the domain persisted, and a Sukuna finger curse emerged, similar to their prison fight. The curse overpowered Megumi, forcing him to recall Gojo's harsh training critiques. You hold back. Yuji swings for the fences, you bunt. Inspired, Megumi visualized his future self surpassing his limits and activated his domain expansion, Chimera Shadow Garden. Though the curse shattered it, Megumi summoned his Chimera Shikigami, ripping the Sukuna finger from the curse's chest and destroying the domain. Flashbacks revealed Tsumiki as Megumi's stepsister. Their father had sold Megumi to the Zenin clan for money before abandoning them. Back then, Gojo had intervened, enrolling Megumi in Tokyo Jujutsu High to secure financial support. Years later, during Megumi's 9th grade, Tsumiki was cursed, left comatose by an unknown technique. Exhausted after retrieving the Sukuna finger, Megumi collapsed. Meanwhile, Nobara and Iso sensed the finger's energy. Eso, bound by mission constraints, stated, "Our orders aren't to kill sorcerers, just retrieve the finger." But as Keichizu and Yuji arrived, Eso's disfigured back was exposed. Enraged, he vowed to eliminate Yuji. Seizing the distraction, Nobara smashed Iso's head with her hammer. In retaliation, Eso activated his rot technique, hurling corrosive blood. Yuji, channeling raw speed, grabbed Nobara and sprinted toward the bridge, but Keichizu intercepted, searing their skin with his toxic blood. Eso coldly explained, once his rot-infected blood seeped into their pores or wounds, Yuji had 15 minutes to live. Nobara, 10. By dawn, their bodies would dissolve entirely. The narrative then delved into the origin of the death painting wombs. During the Meiji era, a woman unknowingly conceived a child with a curse. Ostracized by her family, she fled to a temple where Noritoshi Kamo, a sadistic sorcerer, experimented on her, forcing 9 pregnancies with curses. All ended in miscarriages. Records of these atrocities were burned, but the first 3 cursed fetuses became special-grade cursed objects, fueled by their mother's anguish. These were the artifacts Mahito implanted into humans, creating the siblings, Keichizu, Eso, and Choso, who remained with Geto and Mahito. Returning to the battle, Nobara used voodoo resonance on her own bloodied arm, driving nails into it to mirror damage onto the curses. Eso scoffed, confident they'd outlast her. But Yuji, immune to their rot due to Sukuna's mastery over poisons, unleashed a furious assault on Keichizu. When Eso tried to intervene, Yuji intercepted him, while Nobara turned her focus to Keichizu. As Keichizu neared death, Eso deactivated the rot technique to save him. But Nobara pierced Keichizu with her hairpin technique, sealing his fate. Simultaneously, Yuji blasted Iso with a black flash, crippling the curse. Keichizu was eliminated, and Iso, clinging to a passing pickup truck, tried to flee. Yuji chased the vehicle, and Nobara struck again with voodoo resonance, impaling Eso through his cursed energy. Yuji finished him with a final blow. Their deaths resonated with Choso, the third brother, who vowed vengeance. Geto, informed of the Tokyo First Year's involvement, tightened his plans. Meanwhile, Nita Akari, unable to reach the group, searched near the bridge. Yuji and Nobara, en route to Megumi, reflected on their first human casualties. They found Megumi awake but weakened. He tried to hand the Sukuna finger to Yuji for safekeeping, but Yuji insisted it go to the higher-ups. As Yuji reached for it, Sukuna's mouth manifested on his hand, devouring the finger. Nita arrived, furious at their radio silence, and chewed them out. The scene shifted to Gojo and Utahime discussing the aftermath. Gojo revealed that cursed artifacts had been extracted from Eso and Kichizu, and he openly praised his students for defeating special-grade curses. Gojo then transferred 10 million yen to Mei Mei. Meanwhile, Mei Mei and Todo nominated several students for Grade 1 promotions, leveraging a loophole allowing non-mentors to endorse candidates. The list included Cursed Toolmaster Maki Zenin, Yaga's Cursed Corpse Panda, Shikigami user Megumi Fushiguro, Voodoo Resonance Specialist Nobara Kugisaki, Todo's self-proclaimed brother Yuji Itadori. As the group relaxed, Gojo summoned them for a top-secret mission, teasing a new arc of chaos and marking the end of Season 1. Thanks for watching. Press like to unlock mission intel. Comment your clan tag. Stay sharp. Subscribe. Ninja Anime Review.